All right, this is James Pelton, and I'm here with Russell Thomas, and I think we have someone else from the OmniMoney team coming as well. Thank you for being here. Thank you, audience, as always, for joining me for another AMA. I really enjoy these. I like hearing about projects straight from the owner. I know sometimes people think they're long or whatever, but I appreciate you guys hopping on to watch this. As we're waiting for people to hop on, if you could, as always, hit the like button, because that tells YouTube that this is good content that people want to see, and then they start showing it to more people. So really appreciate that. And then they also like to see comments. So I always try to think of a clever question. I don't usually think of anything too clever. Maybe with the markets kind of down today, maybe let me see how are you feeling about the markets today? Maybe just comment if you're feeling. I'm terrible at these questions. Sad, happy, optimistic, pessimistic. How are you feeling? Bullish, bearish? Go ahead and let me know how you're feeling. We got a few people already. Serial Degen, he is a faithful AMA watcher, so thank you for being here. Appreciate it. High Water Investor, appreciate you being here as well. But let's go ahead and we'll start with Russell here. I see as we've got people coming on. Russell, if you could start by just introducing yourself and give a little bit of your background.
Sure. I mean, thanks, James, for introducing me, and thanks for the time, everyone, to speak to you. My name is Russell Thomas. I'm co-founder of OmniMoney Solutions, which is obviously behind OmniBirds and the NFT, etc., that we're here to talk about. My background is really finance. I started working in what we'll call the City of London about 20, 25 years ago, probably a few more than now. I'm trying to forget some of them, obviously getting a little bit grey here. But I worked in sort of risk seats in trading, predominantly on the currency markets. So working from a junior trader up to a more senior trader, always in the currency markets. Worked for a number of investment banks, and then moved on to work for a number of sort of marquee hedge fund names, again in the predominantly managing risk for currency trading. That's where I met Stewart, my co-founder of Omni, who will be with us hopefully very shortly. And we worked together for a number of years. Our paths diverged for 3 or 4 years post the hedge fund period. But then we came back together and sort of spent a number of years building quantitative finance models. Again, heavy focus on currency markets, and we can talk about that some other time. But other markets as well, interest rates, bond markets, etc., equity markets, but predominantly currency background. Over the last 18 months, we've spent some time through sheer frustration looking for our next interest, if you like, and through various conversations between ourselves and indeed with other people close to us. We became very frustrated with the world of personal finance management and thought things could be done much better. So that was really the path to Omni. That's how we got there. That's why we're here discussing this, luckily, with James. And that's my background. Look forward to talking more about the project.
Yeah. Now, if it's okay with you, if we could talk about OmniMoney first and then talk about the NFT project behind it, I think that would be helpful for me. I'm just going to share my screen just so people can see what it is that we're talking about. So can you kind of talk through just what is OmniMoney and what is it? It's not out yet. Is that correct?
That's correct, James. Look, we've spent what I would say is we're not at the start. We're on the journey. So we've now built V1. V1 is ready to go. We spent 18 months on the project in total. The first 12 months was a lot of deep dive into what did we really want to achieve, and the latter 6 months were in the development of the V1 version, which is now sitting, if you like, mothballed, ready to be launched on the day after we've done our mint. So in essence, what Omni personal finance management application is, or is going to become, is a place where you can manage all of your personal finance management in one single application. So look, we all get frustrated. I'm frustrated. I'm sure the listeners are frustrated by the fact that to really properly manage your financial position, your true financial position, in a world of technology, that means remembering a lot of different passwords, managing, accessing a lot of different applications to get balances. We want to bring all of this under one roof into one single application. There are challenges to doing this. Some of the data, and I'm speaking about the UK predominantly at the moment, but I know it's very similar in the States. Some of the data is easily accessible with consumer permission. via things like open banking legislation. Some of it is more challenging to access, but there are ways we can cleverly do that, again, with consumer permission. Obviously, we have to be secure about this. But it's a place that we can bring everything under one roof, whether that be from your standard bank accounts and credit card accounts to things like your property and property details, your mortgages, your investment accounts, your crypto accounts, your NFT accounts, so that you can get a snapshot of where you really sit in your world of finance, what your net position is. And by net position, we're referring to your total assets, so things that you own and have a value, minus your total liabilities, things that you owe and monies that you owe, to give you a real good snapshot and a good overview of where you sit. Now, why are we doing this? Well, two things. It's frustrating to have to log into so many applications, and invariably we end up not doing it, and we haven't really got a clear and concise information regarding our financial position at that particular time. Secondly, as we all know, and from our background, we come from a data-rich background, is the fact that you can only really make the right decisions and informed decisions when you have all the information. So OmniMoney was born out of the belief that there is a better way to do this. There's various different reasons we believe why this is not already out there. There are some people playing around, but we think that sort of innovation comes from outside of the establishment, and we see that every day. And I think Omni is no different. We think things can be better. It's 2022. We want to help people manage their finances better, and as well as just offering a dashboard view and transactional history, and a place where consumers can look at their spending habits and understand better how they manage their finances. We will be very heavy on financial education. There'll be a lot of financial education pieces in there, as well as leaning on our background a little bit, sort of information regarding the finance world around them. What is the impact on the currency markets or the equity markets, the bond markets, the interest rate markets? What impact does that have on all of us? And there'll be a free library of information for people there to access as they wish.
Okay, very cool. And we do have Stewart here with us, so I'm going to bring him on as well. Stewart, welcome.
Hi, guys.
Would you mind, Russell already introduced himself, but Stewart, would you mind introducing yourself and give a little bit of your background?
No, of course. So myself and Russ, I don't know if he's mentioned, have known each other probably nearly 20 years now. I left school at 18 when decided that I was going to take a year out. I was due to go to the uni in the States, as it goes. And in that year out, thought, well, I better earn some money to pay for it as an overseas student. And as luck would have it, ended up on the same trading desk as Russ. He was my boss back then. We've known each other for a long while since and have worked on various projects, be it in the trading world, in banking, and latterly in brokerage houses, and then back to running our own trading program, and then developing the Omni idea out of frustration, as Russ has said, mainly that the lack of information in one place. And having to chase things around, which particularly as people who have worked in the city for so long, you kind of think you're financially savvy to a certain degree, and yet you're still having to chase old bits of paperwork as well around an office, Excel spreadsheets that are prone to human error, and everything the likes of. So yeah, a bit background there and why we're developing it as well.
Okay, yeah, no, very cool. I can relate to that a lot. I'm kind of infamous for my spreadsheets that attempt to keep track of my finances and don't do a very good job. So there's really two ways I want to look at this: as a consumer and then also as an investor.
Yep.
So as a consumer, I'm going to bring the site back up here. As a consumer, how is this going to compare? Well, first off, is this going to be available in the US, or is this going to be primarily UK focused, or how is that going to kind of work? Since I'm in the US, I kind of wanted to know about
for
that.
sure. So in the first phase right now, with the MVP that's developed, it's done on the basis that we take UK regulation for certain open banking connections. As such, right now, for that side of things, it's very UK centric. However, the overall, in terms of what can be added in there, where there will be certain manual elements to bank accounts if it is overseas, does not prohibit us from taking the product to a global audience. It will just be from an API connectivity perspective, a rollout as we get permissions from the relevant regulatory authorities in order to do so. But yes, the US, believe me, is high on the list.
Okay. Okay. I imagine that was probably the case. This is going to kind of start in the UK, and then, yeah,
Yeah.
regulatory stuff, I imagine, would probably be the most difficult stuff to work through. So, yeah, I imagine that was probably the case. How is this going to compare to, I don't know if you guys use like Mint over there as a app that kind of keeps you connect your bank accounts and it kind of keeps track of things. How is this going to compare to some of those that are kind of already out there?
Yeah, so in the UK we have some similar apps to Mint. Indeed, in doing our sort of market research to build the product in the first place, and they do a great job, particularly in bringing together those sort of initial bank accounts, credit cards, loans, and what you are spending on a monthly basis. The sort of spend and save apps of how you're allocating your money every month. Are you buying too many cheeseburgers? Are you buying too much wine? Those sorts of things are great. However, the one thing that they at the moment lack is that total clarity of being able to show everything from pensions to investments and to crypto holdings to property and beyond. That in itself is very powerful, that we think takes us above and beyond those guys.
Okay. Yeah. No, I totally agree. That was the one that stood out to me, obviously, as a crypto holder. Mint doesn't do anything with your crypto, and it doesn't do investments very well. And so we're kind of just needing like a next iteration. I mean, if crypto is the next big thing, we need, a financial vehicle that keeps track of it in that way. And so I'm very interested. So do you guys have ideas on dates? So when is this going to be available? I know it's coming soon. So when do you guys know when in the UK? Do you have like an estimate? And again, not holding you to this because I understand it's in the future, but maybe the US, end of 2022, or do you have some estimates on some of that?
I think the V1 will be live for the UK consumer, hopefully by the end of June of 2022. So, we're talking within the next couple of months, again, post that mint point, James, and then we can get on foot to the floor in terms of just the marketing push that we want to go to. And, part of the reason we're going down the NFT route is that we've got a community already there, can help spread the word. Nothing beats the word of mouth. But yeah, end of June will be for the UK for the rollout of V1. And then very much in the pipeline is, of course, there's further development and feature issues that we want to look at, in advance. So we have a clear roadmap of that. But on the operations side, one thing we want to immediately start looking at once we've reached that launch date is new territories and how we can start to look at the US. And I think it's important that we spend some time doing that. We've already got some ideas. We're speaking to some people behind the scenes who already have access in different ways, but in similar mechanisms in the US, who hopefully can help us on that journey and just advise us how best to set ourselves up in terms of the regulation and legislation. We're managing a lot of data here, and we've got to make sure that we do it the right way and we protect the consumer's data at all points, so it will be done properly. But we would hope that we've got some real great news on this within the next 6 months in terms of the US, Stu. I think that would be fair to say. We can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I think as far as the launch goes, I mean, this is one of the things that has been evident throughout the project, in launching the NFT project, is that we come to market with something. The MVP has been in development. It's been beta tested amongst friends and family to try and beat it up and see how much we can possibly break the technology and find the foibles of, oh, well, my address doesn't work to look up this, or I can't find my particular bank in terms of loading it up, those sorts of things, to really test it through thoroughly, such that it is ready at the point that we have the funding that gives us the confidence we can scale it out to the consumers in the UK, and also to achieve our marketing efforts in the correct way. It's ready to go.
Okay, very cool. And for those of you who don't know, MVP is not most valuable player. It's minimum viable product. So when you're developing a product like this, the temptation can be to wait till it's perfect and then launch. But then what happens is you launch it 5 years in and it doesn't have the features people were actually looking for. So better product development is, what's the minimum we could get out there that would be useful? And then people can start testing it. They can give feedback that, oh, hey, we don't need, it doesn't need to track Dogecoin anymore or something like that. Doge is dead or something like that. So that's what they're talking about with that.
But
And
that's
I'm curious.
crucial as well, James, in terms of the feedback, because as you mentioned there, the fact that getting a product out there that works and does the vast majority of what people need, but at the same time, understanding that if we don't ever launch it, we can't get the feedback, particularly of the community from the NFT side of things, in order to determine, well, what feature is useless to them, and more importantly, what really nifty feature would they like in there.
Yeah, totally agree. And I'm a software developer in the past life, and so many times I would build something and think it was so cool and find out nobody wanted that feature, and then everybody wanted this other feature that I was too busy building something else. And so yeah, community feedback is crucial. And I forgot to mention, if you guys have questions in the audience, there's things you'd like to know, please feel free to ask, and I'll bring those up as they come. And I am curious who from the UK is watching right now, because I know I have a lot of UK viewers. So if you're watching from the UK, let me know. And is this something that you're looking to use? Because I know I definitely am, and I'm looking forward to when it's available in the US.
I'd also say, James, sorry, I just turned my camera off. Also say for particularly for the guys in the UK who are listening, we'll let you know on launch day, or obviously pick it up on the website. But you're going to get 6 months free, guys. So just have a go, play with it when it comes out. Nothing to lose. You drop off when you want, but we think you'll stay. So you've got 6 months.
That's
and
awesome.
hopefully they join us on the NFT journey and get lifetime membership as well, as well as the 6 months. But yeah, anyone will get that 6 months anyway and be able to bed in with those features.
Okay, cool. Well, let's move over to the investor side. So there's the consumer side. Looking forward to that. And again, that is probably the number one thing I'm interested in investing in, is things that I want to use as a consumer, because I know there's a use case for it. Because if I want to use it, I know other people are going to want to use it. So let's go over to the investing side, to the OmniBirds. Can you kind of talk through what this is and how it fits in with what you're doing with the rest of OmniMoney?
Sure. So, I mean, the reason the NFTs came about, just to give everybody a little picture, we've spent a lot of time obviously discussing various different ways of funding the future development and marketing and operations of OmniMoney. And one of them, obviously we spoke to the traditional route of VCs and private investors and all the rest of it, James. And another opportunity came up through conversations Stu had been having to look at the NFT space. And look, there's a real reason we're doing this. We want to build a community, as I'd already touched on. I think if we can give something back to a community and help them, or allow them to help us build our product going forward, there's no better marketing policy than that. And that's why we want to build the community. Obviously, also, from a VC or private investor scenario, you would be giving away equity, and it's a difficult market at times to find the right pinch point. So we want to do it a different way. We want to go down a sort of true crowdfunding route, build a community, let the community get involved through the NFT purchase, and we will give back in terms of real utility and perk for that inclusion. Stu, I think that covers most of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, as you say there, the overriding feedback has been, I would use that product, and I would want to invest in it when you've got a community, effectively, when you have a point from a VC perspective that it becomes a scale-up business, then it's extremely attractive to them. At the moment, we then find ourselves wanting that community, and we're better to find it from a position where we can equally raise capital, but also get them involved in what features do suit them, and also be able to give back to them in terms of the perks and membership and things like the Omni education side of things that will come as a result of it.
Okay, very cool. So there's 9,999 of these birds. Could you talk about, let's talk about, is the pre-sale going on right now? When are these dates going to be? When can people get these birds?
It will be early June that we will mint. Whitelist is available to start signing up for now. Please join us on our Discord in order to find out more, and follow us on the Twitter to see more updates as we produce them. We hope that we get a large scale early adoption that enables us to drive that pre-sale mint to success and beyond, and bring those features with it, that as we get that success level of minting percentages to ramp out those features.
Okay, so I just put a link down to the Discord. So again, you're going to want to keep an eye there for when this pre-sale and public sale launches will be of this. Can you talk through, you mentioned it a little bit, can you talk through all the perks of minting one of these birds?
Sure. I mean, there's a number, obviously, James, we sort of touched on a few in terms of the basic stuff, and sort of financial education papers we'll be putting out there for people, and sort of financial markets overview. You know, very important to us is sort of giving something back, not only to the community, but to, you know, the place that we live, our planet that we live on. So Successful Mint, we will be giving $100,000 to Big Blue Ocean Cleanup. We are a charity partner of theirs, and we do follow them very closely. Great charity. So, you know, regardless of how you feel about this project, please look them up. As we've already mentioned, every sort of NFT holder will get free membership to the Omni application. Now, if you do live outside of the UK at the moment, and it's not a region that we can yet service, but we hope to, you can gift that. We've got no problem with you gifting that to a friend or relative that's in the UK, and we will still honour a membership for you when we reach your region. And I guess finally, or sort of most importantly, we create a sort of reward pot on a monthly basis. Now, this will be bent on or set on how many users we pick up on our journey. And for each user we pick up, we will present some coin to the reward pot, which will be shared equally among the NFT holders. So it's a longer term utility play. We're in this for the long haul. You know, we have got designs on substantial member numbers, Stu, going forward. So it's not like we're just going to trickle these in. There is a real marketing campaign to push this, particularly in the UK to start off with, obviously.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, at its basis, we have to think that the product itself is there for anyone who has a bank account, well, or any other asset of that type. The reality is, from a scale perspective, it is huge. Therefore, we are in it for the long term. We are in it for large scale adoption of this type of product, and therefore, the rewards will be there for those that have backed us in our early phases.
Yeah, and I really like this because too many projects that I've had on, they're looking for a revenue stream. So they're like, well, we're going to make these NFTs and we're going to give out some kind of reward. And then they scramble to look for, okay, now I need a revenue stream to somehow make this all work. And so I like how this is the way that I think crypto is intended to be used, where you're using it. You have a revenue stream that you're building, and you're using crypto and NFTs as venture capital to go produce this revenue already. So I'm looking for more projects like this where you have something that you're trying to build. Have you run the numbers of like how much could someone expect to receive, you know, based on different landmarks that you're trying to hit?
Yeah, I mean, we obviously with as you're showing there and displaying the website, we've done it with some quirky ones in terms of how many, what stadium of your choice, whether it be Michigan, I know there's a big one over in the States, and the Rose Bowl and places like that down in Texas with the stadium in Arlington, would be in and around those sorts of numbers that we've got down for Wembley over here in the UK. The reality of it is, if you look at the last one, there is where we want to get to it over the next few years. To get to that sort of usage in terms of Big Mac purchases per day, if you like, around a couple million users, would be our end goal based on the marketing efforts that we've got planned out, customer acquisition costs that we've modeled, and growth figures. That said, those growth figures are purely based on the UK market, and obviously, as we have noted and touched upon, we do want to launch on a larger scale than that as well. However, you get to those sorts of levels, and on an annual basis, any given NFT holder could essentially expect to receive what they've paid out for the NFT in the first place back in that reward pot on an annual basis. So that is one of the crucial examples, if you like, that hitting those sorts of customer levels, which is, I think, perfectly reasonable when you consider other apps in the space, if you like Mint and like some of those here in the UK, that it becomes at that point essentially a free trade for our NFT holders, and then grows from there, that if they keep that ownership over time, then they're getting that annual reward.
Yeah, and if you look real long term, I mean, Mint has 22 million users or something like that.
Yeah,
So
I've written down a few examples of this as well in the sort of quirky nature, and one of them, which is actually pretty close to that, is the copies of the White Album that have been sold globally have been around about 24 million, and therefore at that point it really reaches tangible numbers of 10xing on what you're paying out effectively at mint date for one of these things per year. So it really does start to mount up.
okay, yeah, and I think this is an important point too. The profit from the increase in value from the underlying NFT. So
Yeah.
they're as we often see with NFTs. If these start producing a bunch of income, and if Omni money really takes off, then those NFT values will go up too. And you might you mint for zero point 0.1 Ethereum or 0.11, and maybe in a few years you can sell for 3 Ethereum, or who knows what it's going to do. You never know with NFTs. But I do want to emphasize that this is probably not a short-term play. So this is probably not something that you're going to mint one of these and get your money back in 60 days.
No, and it's not meant that way either. We're certainly not there to get people on board for a quick flip and help them out from that perspective. This is very much a long term. We're in it to help the community from a financial perspective, and doing so takes time. Yes, there are those that do mint and very quickly are more valuable. This is a long-term business play to make sure that we build this in the correct way.
Okay, very cool. And then Nate would like to know if VC wants to see people before investing, wouldn't limiting to 9,999 members be a negative to VC money?
No, bizarrely, half the conversations I've had have mentioned the number. Can you get to around 10,000 users and let's talk? So in that sense, no, it's absolutely perfect.
Yeah, and of course, we're not limiting to 9,999 users of the platform. It's just the number of NFTs that are on promotion. That's all.
Yes, and that does seem to be the magic number in the NFT world, is that
in all honesty, we were going to go for 10,000, but we're doing it on a membership card basis, which means when generating the layers, if we'd gone for 10,000, we'd have had to have done 5 digits for 9,999 of them, albeit to take up one number on that side. Hence, we go with the 9999.
Yes, no, very cool. And then Al wants to know, do you trust these people? And that is the big problem in the world today in crypto, is people, rug pulling and things like that. We've had some pretty bad ones. So I do see, let me scroll down here. You guys are fully doxed. What are you guys doing? And what would you say to people if they ask, should we trust you?
I mean, from the perspective of what we'd be generating from the NFT launch and what danger that brings about if we do anything silly with it, we are ultimately FCA regulated in the UK. So we, as a firm, as individual directors thereof, we are in some serious trouble if we start to play around with anything. Let alone the fact that obviously we have to make sure that we're taking care of people's data in the first place from the actual platform perspective. We're then running away with money in that sense. I've got 3 kids sitting here at home. I'm not spending any time in jail, so I'd rather not be doing those sorts of things.
Yeah, no, that's and even having your LinkedIn here and everything and showing your face, like, just way more transparent than most of the things I see in this space. And obviously trying to build something bigger. Go ahead, Russell.
I was just going to say, James, I mean, also I'd say to people, look, hop on over to the Discord. We're in there most of the time. And if you want to jump on a chat with any one of us or both of us at any time, I'm sure we can find a way to do that for you. And, let's get to know each other and build that trust and community together. That's the only way to do it.
Yep, totally agree. So question, the NFTs are just initial investors then? Is that kind of how you think about them?
No, we completely don't think about them that way. We think about it as the community build. I think, going further down the line, is there the potential that in order to reach places like the States, we need to raise further monies? That is likely. And I think the way that we would do that is the more traditional route down the VC route, Stu. I think that's predominantly.
Yeah, that's fair. And I think within that, it's important to note to people that from the NFT perspective, there's never any, if you like, dilution impact of any future event with the company. This is set in stone. At the point where we generate a user, that user contributes a certain amount per month. Well, that user, not specifically themselves, but having that user on board will mean that a certain amount of USDC is contributed to the pot for the NFT holders, regardless of what happens to shareholdings in the underlying business. So they are protected from that point of view for the future.
Okay. And then is there a cap per wallet?
We haven't set one as yet. I mean, we are discussing what it might look like. Look, from a perfect world perspective here, from a customer base, we sit there going, well, we want 9,999 holders of one, because it builds that community of users of the actual product. That said, we are realists of those people who want to get on board, and particularly from the income perspective, that see a value in that, to picking up more than one. We will, this is another thing for the Discord community. Over time, over the next few weeks, we will be deciding upon it. Feedback is important. We want to make sure that number is right, that it isn't too many, that we're just reliant on whales coming in and hoovering up most of that is available, without generating that wider community. So we will take all the feedback possible.
And we'll make sure we post these details on the website with the dates as well as soon as we can.
Okay. Yeah. And there's so many different ways you could do it. You could do one every 5 minutes or something, so that people aren't buying them up right away, but you're still, because you also want to make sure you mint out. And so it's just, there's a lot of things that go into that decision. So yeah, if you have preferences, do hop in the Discord and they'll open to that feedback. So we got some feedback from people. The comparison of quality answers and transparency compared to other projects is huge. A great solution to a real quality of life issue we all experience. Roll on, June. So I think
touching on that is the quality of life side of things. I mean, this is, aside from anything, myself and Russ are quite passionate about this. I know from personal experience going through school and everything here in the UK, but then having kids there now, thinking that we are reliant on apps post. Go Henry does some wonderful things, but we're seemingly reliant on apps outside of that, just to bring education to people, from children going through school, learning everything that they need to do from a science perspective or from an arts perspective, of English, maths, and the languages, and as such, and yet not knowing the basics of, if I make some payroll each month, I have to pay some tax, and other implications, like the UK here today announcing that we're going to have likely 10% inflation at some point pretty soon, and what that will do to your money. So from a real quality of life side of things, the app itself and bringing everything under one roof, but then beyond that, as we see with the features of as we mint out on the NFT side of things, that we will bring the education side of it to bring in if you like a financial health check to an individual if they so want. The information is power, right? If they can see it there and then start to take a decision on some sensible sort of instructions or hints and tips, then that brings about some real breathe time for those individuals.
Yeah, and I found a huge benefit from apps similar to this in comparison with other people. So you're not giving anybody's data to anybody else, but you can like, I get a note that says, hey, you spent 80% more on eating out than everyone else in your age group or something like that, and it's like, oh man, maybe I need to rein in my eating out or make more money with crypto or something.
But to equally important longer term things as well, as we say, it's not just that spend and save side of things of your regular monthly incoming and outgoings in your bank account. It's those longer term impacts of, do you have the right insurance policies in place if you do have 3 kids and a dog and a cat sitting at home, and what happens if you lose your job, and is that income protected? Things like pensions, I know they're boring, but this is the whole point, is that people don't like to deal with this stuff, but it is important, and getting that weight off their shoulders can bring some peace of mind.
That did bring up a question in my mind. Are you doing a lot of tax stuff in there, like crypto taxes and things like that? How is that going to work?
It's something that we're going to be looking at. We're working quite closely with a number of individuals that we're hoping to bring on board the team very soon. Obviously, waiting for see how we go with the NFT, but who are specialists in their area, and a few in particular, a number in particular, I can think of at the moment off the top of my head, who deal on sort of the IFA, independent financial advisors here in the UK, who are very heavy on this stuff. As Stu said, financial health and well-being is something we want to promote. There's a lot of people need a lot of help out there at the moment, and that's why we want to bring an application where, at least for our part, we give them a tool to see everything in one place. But as Stu touched on, over and above that, we want to make sure that they're understanding their position and giving them the best opportunity to make the right decisions, whether that be insurance policies or whatever it may be, going forward. So there is a real desire and drive amongst us, not only to build a successful business, but to do something good and right for people, because it's 2022. We should all be able to see our financial information in one place.
Yeah, totally agree with that. And I need help with this. I used to run my own business, and they always say in the business world, you can only improve what you track. Yeah. And so, I need this. So come to the US quickly, please. I beg you.
You use the #1 in the US, James.
Yes, no, for sure. I'll be there. All right. Does anybody else have any questions from the audience that they'd like to ask? You guys had such good answers. And your website, this is one of the few websites where, like, when I had a question, usually it was answered somewhere later on the page.
Okay, well, that's good to know. Yeah. So that's while we're talking, if people do have questions after, as I said, just to repeat myself, but guys, please do drop us a line in Discord. You'll find us easily in there. Drop us a DM if you want, or we can arrange a time to speak to you. Put a team thing together. We can do whatever you want, and we really want to hear from everybody concerned and get your feeling on both the mint and the application. Any thoughts that you might have, and going forward, love to hear.
Very cool. Well, as we kind of close out here, then, could you one last time, for people who maybe weren't here when you talked about it before, but I think looking for dates or general dates of when they can use the product, when they might be able to buy one of the OmniBird NFTs, can you kind of, just so people know when they should be keeping their eyes out?
Yeah, so OmniBirds will be launching in and around the 1st to 2nd week of June. Just to be finalized basically in the next week or so. Beyond that, basically, as soon as we reach certain milestones within that mint process, we hope to mint out pretty quickly and to sell out pretty quickly. But at that point, the product is ready to go. So that will then follow on probably latter part of June.
Okay, very cool. And the recording of this will be available shortly for those of you who are coming in late and maybe missed some of the answers earlier in the AMA. This will be uploaded on my channel, and you can go back and I think they answered. I really can't think of any other questions that I might have. And do hop in their Discord. Okay, that's definitely a easy way to just hop in there, and you can ask some questions, and they'd be more than happy to answer those. So, well, hey,
we're on there all hours of the day, so yeah.
Yes. Well, I want to thank you guys for hopping on. I want to thank you for just showing your faces, giving your names, and sometimes my AMAs are lonely because it's me and faceless, no-name people on the screen, and it's kind of like, well, this is lonely. And then they talk about how they don't want to dox for safety, and then I start thinking, man, am I being safe? Like, I got my face out there. So.
Look, we're not running anywhere, James. We're very open. We're here. Anyone can come and find us. Nothing to hide here. So, come and join us. Thank you, everyone, so much. And James, thank you so much for the opportunity. And we really hope we get to speak to you again soon, my friend.
Yeah. Thank you to all the community who've joined so far. Thanks to anyone who's going to join in advance. And thank you, James, for hosting us.
Really thanks for being here. And thanks to the audience, for watching, having good questions. Please do hit the like button, whether you're watching live or watching the replay. I appreciate all you guys, and hope everybody has a good rest of the day.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
All right, take care.